In the next area, I'll talk about the power of the first 600 milliseconds, because the conscious mind has a reaction time of a half second. And so that's a half second that the subconscious, aka network of neurons, is processing. But before that, there's a pre-listening period that's about a tenth of a second. And that's where I get the 600 milliseconds. But in that 600 milliseconds, there's automaticity happening based on your conditioning from 0 to 7. What we do with dynamic leadership is we recondition it using the 7-step reset. The point is you can improve upon what we were handed off from our 0 to 7 conditioning and our operationalizing with the prefrontal cortex. This one, you have this pre-listening period out here, about a tenth of a second. And then you have 500 milliseconds, so this gives you your 600. And then you have a handoff to the conscious mind. This is the network of neurons. This is the conscious mind. Network of neurons, physiological, 100 billion neurons, energy pulsing through those neural pathways, synapses connecting the neurons. Neurons get wrapped with myelin, and that makes them habits, and habits become the path of least resistance. You're interacting in milliseconds, so you're stopping some of this scaling that's going up, and you're putting the automaticity to work for you in favor of what you're doing. You have tools to interrupt it, and that's where it starts. In the beginning, it's interrupting the reaction and redirecting. Later, the reaction doesn't happen because their identity is such and the neuroplasticity is such that they no longer get triggered by things from the past. They're able to modulate. So if you've been in a situation where you have some telling tension, you know that you feel that telling tension come up and you can feel it. That's when you start using your modulation skills. We don't wait. This is when Malcolm Gladwell in the book Blink talked about thin slicing. The people would know something, but they don't know how they know it. But I would bet if you could go back into those studies that he was doing, you would see that they had some sort of a sensation coming up because it's it's neurobiological. This energy going through the neural pathways, that's physiological, so you feel it. But if you look at it all and you say this is all about neuroplasticity, and you start understanding neuroplasticity, then you can start applying your shifts. This would be your 7 phases of the 1 second. This is what happens in 1 second. This is all that first 600 milliseconds right here. And then it hands off to the conscious mind. You have conscious engagement. And this pause that we put in here, that pause is less than a quarter of a second. But if you get triggered over here and you're reactive, you can't pause. People say, I tried to pause, but I can't. Yeah, they try to pause when they're already reacting. If you can redirect the reacting, then you can pause. And again, we condition it in, because what's a quarter of a second is not going to hurt you. But it can work wonders if you're recognizing in the conscious mind that what's coming across is a reaction and has nothing to do with what I'm dealing with right now. You're going from a reaction time that happens at a half second to maybe going to 3/4 of a second instead of a half second before you respond. But you also have the ability now, we've conditioned in that check to see, do I need to modulate my emotions? So here's the first 600 milliseconds. We have high impact, low effort. And then the late phase in conscious mind is high effort, low impact. This is what we're doing. This is where dynamic leadership lives. It lives up here. So it's taking the research that we have from emotional intelligence and from self-determination theory and books like Multipliers and Good to Great and Great by Choice and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and we're automating it. We're automating the best practices to become habits using neuroplasticity. Rapid self-recovery requires early detection in yourself and others, and it prevents reactions from becoming culture. You'll see those, and you won't wait anymore.